कुंज बिहारी जय राम दामा जय कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you Mataji. Thank you Vrishvanu Mataji. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna to everyone. Today His Grace Prasanatma Balram Prabhu will take us to the shlokas from 6 to 10 of 27 chapter, 3rd canto. And Hari Bol Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much. So we can get started?
Yes Prabhu, please.
The audio is okay?
Yeah, perfectly fine Prabhu.
Thank you. Okay, Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Dandavats pranams. So, Monday morning, after the Ratha Yatra hangover, so all of you are assembled here. So, all of you must have had wonderful experiences of the Ratha Yatra that happened yesterday, either online or direct, so on and so forth. So then we will now continue with our sessions. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkrpatam Aham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So should I go ahead and then share? Okay, I'll do that.
Prabhu, you want us to share or will you share?
I can share, Prabhuji.
Rohini Mataji can share, Prabhu.
Okay, fine. I can also do, but that's okay. One of you can do it.
Rohini Mataji.
So we'll go to the first verse. So that's verse number 6. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Just, yeah, we can hold it there. So Hare Krishna. So 3.27.6. That's the verse that we'll see from 6 to 10, like Mataji said. Yamhadhibir yoga pater abhyasan shraddhayanvitaha mai bhavena satyena matkatha shravanena cha. So yeah, I see a lot of hands up. So yes, Mataji, so one after another you can read. Vasudha Mataji, you can read the verse and then the translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam, Prabhuji. Mataji, can you please scroll down, Prabhuji? Thank you. Yamadibir yoga pathe abhyasaji shraddhayam yanyitha mayi bhavena satyena matkatha shravanena cha. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. Next, yeah, I mean, Shanti. You can take turns. Yes. Go ahead.
Shanti Mataji can read translation.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One has to become faithful by practicing the controlling process of the yoga system and must elevate himself to the platform of unalloyed devotional service by chanting and hearing about me. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, you want to read them the purport as well? Hare Krishna.
Sorry, no, not the purports.
Yeah, Prabhu.
The shlokas and the translation only.
Yeah, okay, Prabhu. So next shloka, Sudha Mataji, you can read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
सर्वभूतसमत्वेन निर्वैरेण प्रसङ्गतः ब्रह्मचर्येण मौनेन स्वधर्मेण बलीयसा. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Shobha Mataji, translation, please.
Thank you so much.
Haribol, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji and Mataji, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: in executing devotional service, one has to see every living entity equally, without enmity towards anyone, yet without intimate connections with anyone. One has to observe celibacy, be brave, and execute his eternal activities, offering the results to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Haribol, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Vishwanu Mataji, you can read the shloka, and Anita Mataji can read translation.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Yadruchayopalabdena santushto mita bhungmunihi vivikta sharana shanto maitra karuna atmavan. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. For his income, a devotee should be satisfied with what he earns without great difficulty. He should not eat more than what is necessary. He should live in a secluded place and always be thoughtful, peaceful, friendly, compassionate, and self-realized. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Text 9. Sanubandhe cha dehe asmin akurvan asad agraham jnanena drishta tattvena prakrate purushasya cha.
Shobha Mataji, you read the translation as well.
Sure. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One's seeing power should be increased through knowledge of spirit and matter, and one should not unnecessarily identify himself with the body and thus become attracted by bodily relationships. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One more.
I'll read, Prabhu. Nivritta buddhya avasthano duri bhutanya darshanaha upalabdhya manatmanam chakshusheshwar kamatmadrek. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. One should be situated in the transcendental position beyond the stages of material consciousness and should be aloof from all other conceptions of life. Thus, realizing freedom from false ego, one should see his own self just as he sees the sun in the sky. Haribol.
Haribol. So, thank you all for the reading. We'll get started now. So, before that, the Mangalacharan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So, thanking Narayani Mataji and Ashish Prabhu for giving me this wonderful opportunity to speak on the Shrimad Bhagavatam. So, seeking the blessings of all the devotees who are here, please show your mercy so that I'll be able to do some justice to these wonderful verses. So, and the right words come out at the right time in the right spirit. I'm doing this for the pleasure of the Lordships, as a service to the Guru Parampara, and for my own purification. Hare Krishna. So the first verse that we are seeing Yamadbhir yoga pathair abhyasan shraddhayanvitaha mai bhavena satyena mat katha shravanena cha. So it means that one has to become faithful by practicing the controlling process of the yoga system and must elevate himself to the platform of unalloyed devotional service by chanting and hearing about me. So the sharing we can stop. That's okay, I think.
Rohini Mataji, you can stop. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. So this, just to give that continuity, so we are in this particular chapter which is talking about understanding material nature. So here now, who's the speaker? Like you all know, it is Lord Kapila. And Lord Kapila actually is continuing to speak. And if we have to summarize what Lord Kapila is telling his mother, then we can classify them into three major categories. So there are three things that Lord Kapila is talking about. One, of course, is he's giving the knowledge. He's giving the knowledge of Adhyatma, that's through the what is that philosophy that's called that he's giving out? It is the Sankhya philosophy. Like, yeah, thank you. So through the Sankhya philosophy, the knowledge is being given to his mother and then to all of us through the Shrimad Bhagavatam. Then after that, he is also telling us what we should do with that knowledge. So that is in terms of how we apply it practically, like what to give up and what the material life. So he is explaining what is material life, and then he's also saying how these are the things that we should give up. Now he's also saying if we don't give up, then what will happen? So we know that also. So now we know we have the knowledge of matter and then spirit, and then spiritual and material. Then we also know that we'll have to give up material things. It's not like we didn't know. So yeah, that's the thing. And then he says, and then we also know what will happen if we don't give up material things. So if we don't give up, what will happen? We will get attached. Our karma will keep increasing. And because of that, we will keep on taking more and more births. Our idea is not to continue in this current existence of birth and death, but we want to get to that place where there is no birth and there is no death. So that's the premise from where Lord Kapila is telling his mother, and so just to give that perspective. Then after that, after saying what to give up, then he is also saying what is it that we should do or what is it that we should accept. So now, any verse or any conversation stream will sometimes shift from knowledge to what to give up and then to what to accept. So these three will keep moving here. From one to another. Sometimes, they'll impart knowledge. After that, then they'll say what to give up. And then he'll also then speak about what to accept. Now, these verses from the fifth verse onwards, this is all about what to accept or how we should accept, to what extent we should accept. These are the things. So let's now try to, now that we have a bearing of where we are, at least this is for me, trying to understand where we are, then these verses we will try to understand from that perspective. So the sixth verse, what does it say? It says, become faithful. And how to become faithful? This is the question that we all have. It's very easy to say, okay, we have to be very faithful. We need to have faith because devotional service starts with faith. Shraddha, sadhu sangha, then the rest is all there. But if faith only is not there, then what to do? So then we'll have to develop faith. That's what. So that from that perspective, it becomes a very important discussion because it is now telling us how to become faithful. So what does it say? One has to become faithful by practicing the controlling process of yoga system and must elevate himself or herself to the platform of unalloyed devotional service by chanting and hearing about me. So Lord Kapila is saying like this. So now Prabhupada very aptly is translating. So Prabhupada actually brings out the aspect of what is yoga. So he starts off by saying that how there are these 8 stages of yoga. So he talks about yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. For somebody who's not conversant with these, it might look like, oh, these are all very great things. It must be. So I'm not too sure what it is. And then, so sometimes, we're not ignorant. We are ignorant of it, so we'll not realize what it is. But then Prabhupada has made this very simple. He says the yama and niyama means practicing the controlling process for following strict regulations. So the whole aspect is about practicing something. So the underlying word is practice, and the next word is controlling. So what do we control? What are we supposed to control here in any of these 8-fold path of yoga? What is the control? It is the control of our senses. Yeah, see, by doing bhakti yoga, by doing shravanam and kirtanam, we are aware of all of this. So yeah, all of you are writing here. So I see some message also. Suma Mataji is saying senses. So right. So in this way, the controlling process is what is being highlighted here. And to ensure that the mind or the senses become controlled, there is a whole lot of activities, right from yama, niyama, then asana. Asana is the way in which a person has to sit, not fidgeting, so on and so forth. And then pranayama, it's all about breathing, deep breathing, inhale, exhale. There is a method to it. So when somebody is angry, we say, okay, sit, take some deep breaths. I mean, even in schools, it is taught actually. As children, somebody is very, no, sit down and then breathe deeply. That's what they say, like, so that, it actually calms us down. If a child is running around too much, then a teacher generally would do that. So like that. And then there is pratyahara, what to eat, dharana, dhyana, and then samadhi. Samadhi is the state where the mind is fixed on a particular thing for a certain duration of time. And the duration of time is actually very, very small. It is like 2 muhurts or 1 muhurt or something. I said, is that all? So this whole practice is for me to sit and then focus or keep my mind fixed on a certain at a certain place. Like it could be an object, it could be a certain like in our case, of course, as devotees, it is the lotus feet of the Lord. But otherwise, if you have to use a very generic way of explaining it, then it is keeping the mind fixed in something for a certain period of time. So now, even in I think it was the Dhruva Maharaj's case when we were seeing it earlier, we also saw how he was completely in a trance because he was able to fix his mind for a long duration, continuously on the image of the Lord or the personality of the Supreme Personality. So he was able to do that. And that's how then he was able to maintain his trance. So this is the end goal. So we should always be conscious of the Lord. We should always be fixed in samadhi. And for that, this yoga system is there. Now, this is a very tedious process, so we all know. So actually, Prabhupada is saying, what is the yoga system that is being mentioned here is the Bhakti Yoga system that is being mentioned. How can we say it is a Bhakti Yoga system that is being mentioned here? Can somebody tell from the translation? Where is the clue which says that it is Bhakti Yoga?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it is written platform of unalloyed
Yeah.
devotional
Unalloyed
service by
devotional
chanting
Correct.
and hearing.
By chanting and hearing.
To me,
Yeah.
Prabhu, to Kapila Muni.
Yes. So by unalloyed devotional service, by chanting and hearing about me. So we know that chanting and hearing are the 2 processes that is there for one of the 2 processes of the 9 limbs of bhakti. So chanting and hearing is an alternate process to this yoga, because generally yoga means people think like that. So Prabhupada actually is writing based on the minds of the people. So he talks about this niyama, asana and all that, and then he from there then brings us over to the bhakti. And here he is stressing on this word of bhava. What is the bhava or the mood that one should have when we are actually doing devotional service? So for that, it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. If you look at the 10th chapter 8th verse, it says Buddha Bhava Samanvita. That means Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, and then Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo iti matva bhajante ma. Mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. So, yeah, thank you. So that's the mode of understanding. So here also there is knowledge of the Lord. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. And then, and from there, then it goes to this mood. So without the knowledge, there is no way that one can develop mood or faith. So I'll try to see how it is all linked. We'll just try to go on. Okay. So here, Prabhupada is mentioning how even in Bhakti Rasam, Sindhu, Rupa Goswami is talking about the bhava or the preliminary stage of love, and then how it is achieved. He says that one, first of all, has to become faithful. So the aspect of developing faith is being stressed here. Shraddhayan vitaha. So Shraddhayan vitaha, with Shraddha. So that's how one will have to, one will be able to move to this bhava stage. Pato Shraddha. So we know that also. So faith is attained by controlling the senses, either by yoga practice, following the rules and regulations, and practicing the sitting postures.
Good morning, Karthik.
Or by engaging directly in Bhakti Yoga as recommended in the previous verse. So like this, we can see how we are not looking at the Ashtanga Yoga principles here, but we are looking at the yoga only, because even Rupa Goswami is very clearly explaining how it can be done either by that or by the yoga process. And then he goes on to say that Bhakti Yoga process is the direct method, whereas the other one is a little roundabout method. So, in fact, the Lord himself has said in many instances, Mat katha shravane nacha. So you just hear about me. So one may come to the standard of faithfulness by following the rules and regulations of the yoga system. And the same goal can be achieved simply by chanting and hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord. So one has to just hear about the transcendental activities of the Lord and then chant the names of the Lord, and thereby the faith will get increased. So, the solution of how to develop bhakti is also out here. It is by actually continuing to do our bhakti or like chanting and then listening and all that. So continue to do that, but then listen to the activities of the Lord. That is Nam, Roop, Leela, all of that is transcendental, right? The Lord has said that Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So that's a famous verse that keeps getting quoted very often by, we would have heard it so many times, because everything about the Lord is so divine that we just hear about it. Then all the divine principles, all the matters concerning the divine will come into us, and then the bhava, the mood, everything will follow. So whatever activity we do, it will be in Krishna consciousness. So the Krishna conscious quotient will keep increasing. So it's not like we don't have it. We all have it, but then it is just that it is in a very low quantity right now. So we'll have to increase that consciousness a bit. Maybe a few minutes in a day or a few hours in a day, we are conscious, especially in the morning when we do the chanting, and then we attend the arati or we do the arati, so on and so forth. Any of these are like for cooking, and then try to think of the Lord and then, cook in that mode. So most of us are doing various activities in some amount of divine consciousness. But then as the day progresses, then it becomes diluted or it gets mixed up with the material consciousness. And so we just have to increase this window. We have a small window, maybe half an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe 5 hours, or whatever it is. But then the whole aspect as a sadhaka is to increase this window of Krishna consciousness so that it becomes full time. Full time means in our waking stage, whenever we are active, up and about and running, we will have to be conscious. So, and that is actually being dealt in the subsequent shlokas. I think in the 9th or the 9th shloka, it talks about the consciousness. So, we'll see that as we go there. Now, so we know we have to do devotional service. So because that's going to help us increase the faith. Now, what is the mood or what is the disposition in which we will have to do this devotional service is given in the 7th verse. So the 7th verse talks about two things. One is when we are doing devotional service, we will have to do it with the consciousness of being equal to everyone. So equal to all living entities. Samoham sarva bhutanam. So Krishna himself says, I'm equal to everybody. So there are various species of living entities, Prabhupada says. But what is the view of a devotee? He does not see the outward covering. He does not see the bodily covering. So he sees the inner soul inhabiting the body. So he knows the presence of the soul. He understands the presence of the soul and he realizes the presence of the soul. So these are all various stages. Right now, we only know the presence of the soul because we've been told that living thing means then there is soul inside that. But we don't understand how it functions or what it does and all. And we definitely don't have any realization because realization of the soul in another living body means that naturally then we will not behave in the bodily platform, but we will behave in the spiritual platform. What is the difference? The essential difference? That means then the body that is covering the soul is not important. So what is that shloka which talks about this in Bhagavad Gita? Some of you might know that. So we say, what was that? The Pandita Samadarshina, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne,
Brahmane Gavihastine.
Brahmane Gavihastine, Srichaiva Svabhagena, Pandita
Samadarshina.
Yeah, thank you so much. So in this again, Vidya, what is the Vidya we are talking about? Adhyatmika Vidya, the knowledge. Vinaya Sampanne, so it makes us humble. Why it makes us humble? Because we realize our position. Anu, small, I'm nothing, insignificant. And then others are also there, and then they are also equally as dear to the Lord. And so you see them all as equal. And that is the Lakshana of a Pandita. Pandita Samadarshinaha. So, like this, we will have to develop this quality of seeing them from the spiritual, as a spirit, from a spiritual point of view, and not from the bodily concept. So, the bodily concept, identification and interaction should become lesser and lesser, and then this has to increase. So, this is the first disposition. Then the next one that Prabhupada is talking about is maintaining celibacy. So now here Prabhupada talks that he has to, a devotee who's practicing or who is sadhaka who wants to progress will have to observe the vows of celibacy. Now celibacy does not necessarily mean that one should absolutely be free from sex life, but satisfaction with one's wife is permitted under the vow of celibacy. So this is a separate concept that has been discussed earlier. And I'm sure all of you are aware, the best policy is, of course, to avoid altogether. But then Krishna consciousness, Krishna himself says, procreation, any activity done for procreation of Krishna conscious children, I am that, Krishna says. So in this way, consciousness becomes very important. So this is another consciousness that one will have to develop. And so then in that journey, then one is free to get married and then go on and then have children and then, bring them up nicely as Krishna conscious children. And then, that way, you have the whole path there. So this is another important aspect. And then what happens is the consciousness, as it increases more and more, we can see this. Some of you might have observed. observed this, that as the consciousness or the Krishna consciousness is increasing, our taste for material things keep coming down. You can raise your hand or you can give a thumbs up if you agree to this, if you have experienced it yourself. Yeah. So it keeps coming down because as we increase that, then we develop a distaste. I mean, it's not like we have to give up and so I'm giving up. No, naturally, you don't feel like gossiping. Probably used to take a lot of pleasure earlier in certain activities, in talking or in associating or in doing some such material activity, but then the taste is beginning to come down now. So that means that the medicine is working. That's what the acharyas say. Our chanting is working or it is helping us. So the mercy of the Lord is there. So we've been able to attract some mercy and thereby, we are beginning to see this particular change. So here Prabhupada talks about, and so when you're not interested, then you will not respond or you'll be silent or you will not have the same enthusiasm. So you tend to move towards being silent. And being silent is withdrawal from material engagement. So withdrawal from material engagement, that's how this Mauni Babas, they don't speak. Controlling the urge to speak is a very important qualification one has to have. And so they try to practice that. How? These yogis, they try to practice mauna or silence. So they'll say, I will not speak for 3 days or till every day till evening I'll not speak or some such thing. But for a devotee, he need not have to take such vows. If he or she is completely conscious of Krishna always 100%, then the attraction to material things come down. So the urge to speak comes down. That's one side. The other side is what is sitting mostly in the minds of the devotees? It is Krishna or topics of Krishna. So, and topics of Krishna means then it is all, the relish, the topic. So they'll talk about Krishna. So, Madchita Madgata Prana, Bodhayante Parasparam, Kathayantaste Mam Nityam, Pushyanti cha Ramayanti cha. What else will they do? They will just talk about Krishna and his activities. Now, talking about Krishna and his activities is not considered as breaking of silence. It is still mauna only. It is still silence. Because you are not talking about material things. You're not talking about yourself. You're talking about Krishna. So it is silence again. So Prabhupada very nicely brings out that aspect. And then he says that mauna or silence, we don't have to practice, but we will talk about Krishna only and it is as good as mauna. So we don't have to do anything extraneous. So internally, because you are thinking of Krishna and then trying to do that, so you will only talk about Krishna. So what is inside will come out. So this way, the disposition is being explained. That means we will have to be friendly or we will have to develop a feeling of equanimity with everyone. And then we will have to, accept celibacy, the importance of it. And then, of course, our regulated life. Why regulated life is so important. And then also the aspect of silence or controlling the urge to speak, the controlling the tongue. So this is there. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives a wonderful illustration of that when he is listening to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He makes him sit and then he's talking. So for days together they talk. I think 3 days or 6 days, I'm not sure. I'm not able to recall. So Mahaprabhu doesn't speak anything. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is disturbed a little bit. He says, I'm speaking so much for days together and you're not saying anything. Don't you want to speak anything or say anything? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks. Till that he doesn't speak. So, but then he was showing a lot of respect and then he was just listening to what he was saying. So this way, we can understand how it is so important to control this urge to speak for topics which is not related to Krishna. As far as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was concerned, the topic that was being discussed was not related directly to Krishna because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was actually talking about, even though he was quoting those verses, but his explanation was all off the mark, so it was going all over the place. So it was not spiritual in that sense. So he never really spoke. Okay. And then if you look at the next verse, what is being told here is, or it continues. How does it continue? How does one see, okay, we are in this material world. So now we know we have to develop some amount of vairagya. So because Vairagya Vidya is Nija Bhakti, Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga. It is actual Bhakti Yoga means development of Vairagya. So if we have to develop Vairagya, then that means to what extent I can be attached, to what extent I should attach. So this is very important because we are in that progressive stage. We are in the transient stage. It is not like you completely give up something or give up in a wrong way or you begin to hurt something. I mean, hate something or detest something. No, that's not how it is. So that is being explained in the 8th verse. So it says to what extent we can maintain material attachments or interactions. I will not call it attachment, but material interactions. So here it says that, how much is too much. So we can endeavor for certain things. So we know we'll have to go out and then work and then earn a livelihood. So when we are allowed to do that, to what extent I can go is a question that generally haunts all of us. So that is being explained a bit here by Lord Kapila. He's saying that your endeavoring should be to take care of your needs, not your wants. In the purport Prabhupada writes. So our wants are many, all those unfulfilled desires. We'll have a long list. But if you look at the needs, it will be very basic. It's just our food, clothing, shelter. It comes down drastically. The list becomes very small. If it is a want, then it's so big. If it is need, then it gets truncated. It becomes a very small list. So we'll have to keep our needs, keeping this body and soul together, they say, right? Simple living, high thinking. All this aligns to this aspect of Vairagya, or ensuring that we don't unnecessarily indulge or overindulge in something. So here it begins with earning the livelihood. We don't have to endeavor too much to earn, and then you buy a house, you buy a car, all of that is happening. Then you continue to earn more because you want the second one, then the third one, or whatever it is. So your success is measured in the number of assets or properties that you have made, and that sort of a thing. So these are not wants actually. These are wants. These are not needs. For us to live, our need is just that we need one shelter, and then we need something to take us from point A to B, and so on and so forth. So it can be like, I think all of us will be able to weed out the wants and then look at the needs and then endeavor in that way. So that is what is being told here. Then it also says that we will have to accept our position, whatever position I am in. If I am able to accept the current position and don't over endeavor to change it. Okay, some amount of endeavor. So you'll have to come out of the harm's way or some bad influence and you try to get out. That's like in the normal course of duty. Like say, if you see some traffic coming, you move away. That doesn't mean that you're attached to the body. You shouldn't conclude so fast, so quickly to the other extreme. That's what I'm trying to say. So it just means that we have a right to protect ourselves, our life, and we have a right to live, but then we accept the position and not over endeavor to change it. So that, there are people who go to extremes, try to change it in so many ways, ask what is in store for me, and so on and so forth. So thereby, actually, you're not giving the control to Krishna. You want to control your life. You want to change things. You want it to go by the way you want it. And so it is a sign of bodily identification and not the sign of spiritual realization. So this is another important aspect that Prabhupada brings out. And then he talks about Mitha book, or about eating, controlling the eating habit, regulated eating. That's about not having a full stomach, even if we are eating prasadam. Okay, in initial days, as we are coming in, we might have heard people say, "Oh, prasadam, no problem, you can eat up to your neck." So that's fine. So that is good, because at that point the choice was between prasadam and non-prasadam. So the choice was prasadam. So since you have the tendency to eat, so then at least eat up to the neck, so that you will avoid eating something else. So that's what happens. If you don't eat a full stomach and then you have to go through the whole day, then some cravings will come. So you will see something and then you've been used to it. So you want it. You want to eat some outside food. So to avoid that, you just fill up your stomach up to the neck with prasadam. Then the urge to eat is not there at all. So that way you'll be able to better see the day through That's one stage. But then later on, it says we cannot continue like that forever. We will have to practice mitabuk or austerity with respect to food or not taking full stomach. And it's not good for our health also. I mean, we all know, even if it is prasadam, it's not good to overeat. So that's another aspect that is being there. And then it also says that we should stay away from non-devotees or live in a secluded place. Not associate. Living in a secluded place means, by now you would have understood, it's not physically running away from people, but not allowing ourselves to be influenced by them. We might have some interactions. Your neighbor, you might greet him or her. Hello, hi, good morning. Then they might ask something. Oh, did you see the match? Oh, really? What happened? Oh, they won. Oh, so nice. So some basic interaction, that's all. Otherwise, there is nothing. But then not get too involved or don't develop a relationship, and that sort of a thing. So if at all you want to develop a relationship, it will be like the giving relationship. You give prasadam, you give knowledge. It's not like accepting kind of a relationship where you allow yourself to be influenced by them, but it should be the other way around. Anyway, so in this way, we should stay away from non-devotees and then live secludedly, and then also be a friend to all, even though you're not associating with people, but we should be friendly. You don't have anything against them. You don't have to test your neighbor because of certain habits that he or she is having, and then develop an aversion or hatred and all that. No negative emotions. Be as neutral. See the spirit, see the soul in that individual. Try to realize that that person is in that position because of the karmic influences. It is not soul that is acting in this way. It is the circumstances that is making him or her act in a certain way because of certain unfulfilled desires or some things that they have done in the past for which they have to suffer, or maybe some things that they have done for which they have to enjoy now. Because we see somebody enjoying too much, we become envious also. So all of this fits into that aspect of looking at the person at the soul level and then trying to understand the karma. So for us to accept another person in that way, first we'll have to accept our own position. So accepting our own position is not over endeavoring to change our karma too much. So these are some of the aspects that Prabhupada mentions for this particular verse. And then only we will be able to situate oneself at the level of the soul and not at the level of the body. So these are practical tips. It's not like I do one and then it's all happens. All of this we'll have to do because we are actually in the material world and then we get bombarded by all of this from all sides. So there is food, then there are people, then there are their thoughts, then there are things that I want, then how much I should earn. So these are basic material questions. So all of it is sort of getting answered here. In terms of to what extent we need to endeavor or to what extent we can keep this material interactions. And then moving on to the next verse, it says we will have to develop the seeing power. It should be increased. Seeing power should be increased through knowledge. And we have to distinguish between matter and spirit and stay away from bodily identification. So the Nivritti Marga or the Vairagya Marga is being described here. So we need to do that. We'll have to give up certain things. Why we have to give up? Now we know. And then if we give up this and then move towards doing Bhakti Yoga or hearing and then chanting, or at least that starting hearing and chanting, then our faith becomes strong. Krishna's mercy begins to act. So he will strengthen that faith within us. And when that happens, then it's like we moved one notch up. And then we keep moving like that. So keep increasing the faith. Thereby, the faith becomes so strong, then the other things become very, very uninteresting or unattractive, or we will not get enticed by those things. So in this way, we will have to see all of this collectively, not just one. Okay, and then develop the seeing power. And then through the eyes of knowledge, even in Bhagavad Gita, it says, Jnana Chakshashu. So through wear the spectacles of knowledge and then see the world around you. That's what is meant here. So that means that differentiating, discerning, viveka, discerning what is matter, what is spirit, what to take in matter, how much to take in matter, how much I should allow myself to be associated with matter, and what extent I can go into spirit. So there is no restriction here on this side. when we have to associate with spirit. So, but when we have to be associated with material, then there is a restriction or a boundary. So this way, and this boundary will keep becoming shorter and shorter, and that boundary will keep extending beyond and beyond. That's how it happens, right? We all came into KC in that way only. Okay, for now I'll just do one round. So we are just putting a boundary to the spiritual practice. I'll just do this, do this, do this. Okay, the rest like that, which is acceptable. So, but then slowly the boundaries has to be extended. So one round became 4, 4 became 16. Waking up at 6 was okay at one point. Our counselors had said, okay, that's fine, get up, no problem if you're getting at 7, but please do chant. And then slowly then that became 6, then it became 5, then it became 4. So, we're just pushing that boundary in spirit. And then thereby simultaneously in the material, we are reducing the boundary, making it smaller and smaller. So that's how balanced it is. Unless we do this balance, if we try to do it all of a sudden, then it might react in some way, even though we might look like we are successful in the initial stages, but then we have seen many cases where it reacts or it comes up in some other way at a later point of time, which is not a very good thing. So that is how generally the guru, he realizes in what condition we are in, and accordingly he suggests these things. So taking it step by step, and that's what is being suggested here, or that's what Lord Kapila is talking in these verses also. So then in the 10th verse, Lord Kapila is talking about how to develop the consciousness of Krishna. So we just discussed this. So initially, it's a progression. Initially, we are in material consciousness. Then it becomes material and spiritual. And then more of spiritual and then less of material. And then when we talk about spiritual or spirit consciousness, then the aspect of connecting to the Supreme Lord comes up. So it will be Supreme Lord and Spirit. And then from there, then Supreme Lord and Spirit, it will continue like that. Now, when we know this journey includes what? Accepting and then rejecting. That is pravritti and nivritti. Both are included in this. But there is one more thing that we have to be aware. We might do these activities at a gross level. That means we might think of spirit, say, or we might think less of material, we might think more because we've been told like that. So we might do that. So consciously we might do that. But then it is still having impurities. Our senses are not with our intelligence. We might train our mind to do all this, like how we cover up, we don't like somebody, but that person comes. So social etiquette, we cover up. So man is known for that. He or she will still put that smile and then put those negative emotions behind, and then come across as a very congenial person, or oh, hello.
Hare Krishna.
Is the screen frozen for everyone?
Yes, it's frozen,
Yes,
Mataji.
for everyone.
Yeah. Just a minute, Mataji, we'll wait.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So sorry, I got disconnected.
Yeah.
So our senses were not pure. So purification of the senses becomes very important. So this is like boiling the milk kind of a thing. So where, okay, milk is boiled, but then you keep boiling more and more and it becomes more and more sweet. It becomes condensed milk. So like that, we will have to continue this process and then purify the senses. So we might do the same activity again and again, but the purification is happening. The senses are becoming purer. So same activity, sometimes people say, you do the same thing again and again every day. Aren't you not tired? No, we are not tired because we know that there is purification happening. Deep down, I know how I was when I started this, and now after 1 year, to what extent the mercy has been there, and then how there are certain senses which have become purified. Each one of us, we are the best judge of our own self. I know how pure my senses are. I know what goes on in my mind. And then I will also know how I was before, and then whether I'm making progress or not. Krishna actually reveals these things to us. So we'll have to continue our journey, and that is what Prabhupada is talking about in the 10th verse, where he says that we will have to develop this consciousness, Krishna consciousness, and developing it means from an impure consciousness perspective to making it pure and pure. So that's the boiling of the milk, if I can say again, aspect which we all need to do. So in this way, Lord Kapila is actually bringing forth this aspect of how one has to do, or how one has to increase faith, and then how one has to do devotional service with faith. So the key word is devotional service. And then he says devotional service has to be done with faith, without any other this thing. So now how to develop faith in is, then we saw the aspects of how we will have to continue to do Shravanam and Kirtanam, hearing about the Lord and all that. But then when we are doing that, what should be our disposition? Those points we saw. So it's like being equal to everyone. That means not seeing at the bodily level, but seeing everybody at the spirit level. Then practicing celibacy, being aware of it, or trying to limit the enjoyment of the senses to the extent permitted in the scriptures. And then always think of Krishna. Wherever there is an opportunity, think of Krishna. So one reminder is to chant. That's why they say, no, always chant, chant. If you're free, chant. When you're not doing anything, chant. That means what? When you're chanting, then we're supposed to listen to the words. So when we're listening to the words, other thoughts automatically are driven away. The other thoughts might still come, but still you continue to chant. So you keep suppressing, wiping that thoughts away. Unnecessary thoughts. Okay. When you have to apply your thoughts in work, that time, yeah, you'll have to do that. But then just do that and then get back to chanting. That kind of a thing. So each one of us, we will be able to evolve this particular formula for ourselves, which will fit us, and then continue to progress. But the only thing is, I'll have to ensure that my today was better than yesterday, and so on. So tomorrow again, it should be better than yesterday, that is today. So thereby, tomorrow becomes better than today. So it's a gradual progression for all of us. Whatever be the position we are in, how much ever impure senses we have, we will have to purify it and constantly endeavor to purify it. And thereby, by all these things, then the faith increases, then it becomes better and better. So it's an upward spiral. So that is what I just wanted to add here. And then, of course, he talks about to what extent we can interact with material things. So there also there is an answer here in the 8th verse. Not too much, just to take care of our needs, not to take care of our wants. So we'll have to limit our wants, decrease it, and increase the needs. All this is done in a way, not in a very hateful way, not with a what do you call that? I am suffering so much kind of an attitude, not in that way. Oh, you see so much of austerity I'm doing. No, these are things that I have to do if I have to move to the next higher thing. So it's like so much I'm enduring. It's that victim consciousness kind of a thing. No, not in that way, but in a very positive way. Try to do these things about not trying to earn too much. Of course, it depends on the stages. So all that is fixed already. If one is a grihastha in their 30s, they have to take care of their children, then they have to take care of their parents, and so on and so forth. There are so many things. Then naturally their needs are going to be higher. So then they might have to work. But then they should also realize that this is not going to go on forever. So there'll be a time where I can decrease it, because as the children grow big, then they are able to stand on their own. So I don't have to support them. So my needs become smaller then. So in this way, it keeps changing in the various phases of our life. So trying to identify that and then trying to adapt ourselves to that extent, that's very much important. So as per the need, and then accepting karma, that's a very important thing, not over endeavoring for changing it. And then practicing, eating less, like Mithabhuk, not get up on an empty stomach, but you stop eating when it is half full. So they say, there's so many tips, even if any of these things that talk about yoga, health and all, they also will tell the same thing about not overindulging. And then staying away from non-devotees. So detach non-devotee association, try to attach more here. So that's another thing. Being a friend to all, even with all this, even to a non-devotee, being friendly to them. have a friendly disposition. So this will please Krishna. If you look at the 12th chapter, Krishna becomes very happy with all these things. He says, no, Sukha's one who's the same in honor, dishonor, in happiness and in distress. These people are very dear to me. One who sees everything equally is very dear. So if you read those shlokas in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, very clearly it says what pleases Krishna. So these are all the activities that pleases Krishna. Here, Lord Kapila is also telling the same thing. And then situate oneself at the level of the soul. And then we begin to, and then we'll develop this power to see through the eyes of knowledge, and then distinguish between matter and spirit, and then try to develop the consciousness and purify our senses. So this is the path that is being enunciated here. Then what happens when we do this is, we begin to see the Lord, or begin to see his presence, or his influence, or his control, even in material things. What happened? It was all together. We know everything belongs to God. So everything is coming from the Lord. All these doubts we have had before also. But still, as practicing devotees, we will have to bifurcate matter and spirit, and then accept spirit and reject matter. But when we do all this, and when our senses become purified, then what happens is we'll begin to see the Lord, or his presence, or his influence, or his control, whatever you want to call it, in material things also, because the Lord is present everywhere. So our knowledge becomes more complete, or our understanding of the Lord becomes more complete, and our realization also becomes complete. So we are moving from the aspect of knowledge, understanding, to realization, and then finally to revelation. So this is the whole journey that all of us will have to make. And Lord Kapila is bringing out the same aspect here. So in these verses. So there are three things that we'll have to be aware of. One is knowledge, other one is pravritti marg and nivritti marg. So we know what is pravritti marg, what are the things we have to do, and we know nivritti, what are the things we'll have to reject. And all this is based on knowledge, which is the knowledge of the scriptures. So that's how we will have to lead our lives. Okay. So on this note, I'll stop here. If there are any comments or questions or anything anybody wants to add, then please go ahead. I see a question from Suma Mataji.
Prabhuji, I posted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were telling the 12th shloka. Yes,
Correct.
yes. 12th chapter shlokas. Thank you, ma'am.
Hare Krishna. Hare Hare. Very nice class, Prabhu. Thank you. Devotees, questions? Suma Mataji, yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Prabhuji, pranams, Prabhuji. Today's class was so good, Prabhuji, because yesterday also for the Rath Yatra, I was thinking, Prabhuji, I wanted to go for the Rath Yatra, but all my family members, like my husband, and he was not willing at all. So I was thinking, why it is like that? It becomes very, what to say, challenging, Prabhuji, if only one person is practicing in a family. So we are not able to convince also. It becomes very difficult, Prabhuji. Like in today's class, you said that how much association one can take, and how can they, progress in bhakti, Prabhuji. Like some things have to be done, like for going for Rath Yatra and taking part in devotee association, going to the temples and everything. It becomes a must.
Yeah.
But in certain cases, it is not possible. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Talking of Rath Yatra and talking about yesterday, I did not go to the Rath Yatra that was happening in another center, where our DTs actually went from here, from this temple, because we had the Sunday evening program here in the temple, so I had to stay back. So actually, I didn't see the Rath Yatra live. But yeah, we'll have to do that sometimes. It happens with everyone. We just do what is expected of us, or whatever situation we are in, we try to do it to the best extent possible. This is my learning. I also felt sad that, I saw the photos were coming, and then we saw everybody else there. I was thinking I should have been there, but then I thought at least I'm seeing the photos, the videos or whatever. So it happens.
Hare Krishna. Because they say, some people say, Prabhuji, like once if you pull the Ratha in your lifetime, at least once, so that you will not be born, you'll not have to be born again in this material world. So thinking about all that, I just feel that all our family members, my kids and everything, at least if we get a chance once at least. Then I did mentally, Prabhuji, that's all. Hare Krishna.
No, that thought is what is going to make them come, because you are desiring strongly. So you will definitely, Krishna arranges in a way that it will happen. So you might be in for some surprise. So generally that's how it happens. You'll suddenly say your own family members trying to say that no, we will go, or they've gone somewhere and then they ended up pulling, or something happened, and then they were put in a situation where they ended up actually witnessing it and all that. So whatever you do there strongly will get fulfilled, because Krishna will take care of it. He is hearing you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
I pray
Krishna,
that your
Prabhuji.
words become true. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Not my words,
Hare
Lord, He
Krishna,
will take
Prabhuji.
care of it.
Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji, even I
Thank you.
agree, Prabhuji, as what you said, because last year I was also thinking like Suma Mataji only, because I was the only devotee in my house. And this year there is a lot of change, Prabhuji, because my husband has also started reading Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and he kept the Oriya channel, and the whole day we were watching Oriya TV live. But as we know, Prabhuji, the mind always wants something more. So here, what was the situation is, in Coimbatore temple, it was Snan Yatra yesterday. And I couldn't make it personally there. I asked my Prabhuji if he could come, we could all go and have the darshan and then have the prasad and come. But none of them were, the kids were of course for it, but Prabhuji was not for it. So I settled down to do some prasad and offer the boga at home, and we watched the thing live. So how much ever we get, I think we will seek for more. And as you said, Prabhuji, every day we get some improvement, we see some improvement in the family members. Of course, it might not be seen all of a sudden. So I always pray Mataji, for Suma Mataji. I'm very sure, Mataji, you will also see a lot of changes by the grace of God. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Just
Krishna.
wanted-
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Very well.
Pranam.
So that's a wonderful thing about devotees getting together. They pray for each other and then they support each other. So nice. Thanks for sharing. And also that another important quality that we have to cultivate is the quality of developing patience. So when we begin to see everybody equally as our own or as part and parcel of Krishna, then we become patient. We are more patient with our own children than with neighbors' children, right? I mean, let's be frank about it. Especially small children, they are a little annoying. So we have more patience because why? Because they are our children. So so like that. Now it is Krishna's children, then I'm connected to Krishna. So you see it as a big family, as a Vasudeva Kutumbakam concept. If it gets ingrained, then naturally you'll become patient with everybody. You'll become courteous with everyone. All of that will happen, not just our family members. Of course, it starts with the family, but then it extends beyond that also. So that's the next step for all of us,
Any other question? Okay, so we'll end the class here. And Suma Mataji, there is always, like Vinakshi Mataji said, Odia TV Live, or wherever you will go, you will see this Puri Jagannath Rath Yatra on TV. And you will not feel the separation, means like with the devotees or with Lord Jagannath. So you can always watch that.
Thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, one more thing I wanted to say, Mataji. Yesterday in one more lecture, I heard from Ananda Prabhuji, who said that, if we are not able to go to Puri, we get the same benediction if we try to offer some service of ours to the local Rath Yatra that is happening in our city. So we could even try that, Mataji. That's what I am trying to do, because here it has not yet happened. So I'm just waiting patiently if it is a weekday, or if we can do some small service. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, or you can prepare bhoga and offer to Lord Jagannath.
Yes,
that's the best service you can do. Hari bol. Okay. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
namo
namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna to all
Pranam,
devotees.
Prabhuji Mataji.
Hare Krishna to
Thank you, Prabhuji.
everyone.
Pranam,
Hari
Prabhuji.
bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Shall I end the session, Prabhu?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji.
Okay.